Hello and welcome to ET Interview. It gives me great pleasure to connect with Mr. Praveer Sinha, Managing Director and CEO with Tata Power. Tata Power as a stock has been on a roll. Given that how management has in a sense indicated to markets and to shareholders that Tata Power now is going to be the group group energy supply to the entire EV space, the stock market has re-rated the entire stock. But apart from the EV business, what about the high energy cost, which way electricity consumption is moving, and what could be the implications of the new electricity law? Let's connect with Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, fantastic to have you back. Thank you for joining us. We're connecting after a while, so lots to discuss, lots to talk. Let's first start with the big headline. And the big headline of late has been high energy cost. Given how coal prices both locally and globally gone higher, how has that changed life for Tata Power?
Good morning, Nikunj. Always a pleasure to be part of the show. And let me start with a couple of comments. First is that the power sector in India has done very well in last 1.5 years. During the COVID period, it has continued to perform and give supply of electricity, whether you are from your factory, workplace, or even work from home. So I think this is real tribute of the hard work that has been done by everyone in the power sector in the country for giving continuous access of power. And my compliments to all the people who are associated with this. Secondly, on the energy prices, you mentioned about the coal prices. It's a fact that the coal prices, like every other energy substitute which is there, including oil and gas, have gone up tremendously in last 6 months. And this has been because of the demand-supply gap, which has been seen globally as also in India. India used to import large quantity of imported coal. The coal prices have really shot up by nearly 300%. And because of that, the imported coal, which used to come to a very large extent in the country, virtually trickled down to very small quantity in the month of July to October. And this was one of the reasons that there was a lot of pressure on domestic coal to meet the power requirement of the country. Unfortunately, during the period, especially the monsoon months of July to September, because of the flooding of the coal mines, the supply gets restricted, and also the movement by rail gets restricted. This, of course, has now stabilized post the intervention of the government in the month of October, November, and also the demand has come down drastically in the month of November, December. And what we see today is that the power requirement in the country is being met fully. The power prices also in the country has stabilized. The coal prices, of course, has not changed in India. It's controlled by Ministry of Coal and CIL, and the prices continues to be what it was earlier. Only the imported coal prices have gone up, which we see in last 1 month has started coming down. It reached a peak of about $210. It has come down to $150 in just last 1 month. And we expect that in next few months, it will come down to a much lower level. So I think the energy prices, which sometimes sees the peak, the worst is over, and we should see a much lower and a much stabilized price in the coming months. On the power sector, yes, a lot of changes are happening. And you have seen in COP26 also, there was a lot of talk about climate change and how it's necessary to go for renewable power. And I think the country is taking all the right steps in that direction to meet the future expectation of power.
Mr. Sinha, the new electricity law, you've made it, you've already indicated to your investors and shareholders that that could be game-changing moment for the power sector and for Tata Power. Walk us through it. Why?
So the amendment to the Electricity Act is a very important step As you are aware that the Electricity Act was put in place in 2003, overcoming the earlier electricity rules and laws of 1910 and 1948. And it was a game changer in terms of many of the new uh, interventions that came as per the Electricity Act, the opening up of the power generation, the opening up subsequently of the transmission work, and also some of the regulatory framework that was put in place. Uh, in last, I would say 17, 18 years, there has been a lot of changes, and there is a need to further bring changes in the Electricity Act. And it's a very important and a welcome step that the government is taking. And some of the things that I would like to mention, why it is necessary and how it will benefit not only the people who are associated, all the stakeholders in power sector, but also the consumers, because at the end of the day, everything that is being done in power is for the consumers, and it's a public utility. So it's a public service to that extent that is being provided. The first big thing is that the licensing or the present system of licensing of distribution will get delicensed. And what it means is that there will be multiple players and people have to survive. It is not that multiple players means that everything will be absolutely fine. There will be players who may not be able to meet the consumer expectation, but the survival of the fittest will happen. And this we have seen in generation also, when the sector was opened up in 2003. A large number of players came in, apart from, of course, the existing government-owned generating companies. And we have seen that how the prices have stabilized over a period of time, performance have improved, and competition always brings the best amongst all the players, whether they are government players or they are private sector players. And those who are not able to improve or not able to meet the expectation, we have seen some of them have become stressed assets and they will not be able to survive in the competition. Similarly, when the distribution delicensing takes place, the consumer will benefit. The consumer will have a choice. If someone is not giving a good quality service, is not giving them power at an adequate price of the required quality, then the consumer has a choice to go to someone. Today, in a monopolistic system, there is no option but to continue with the existing incumbent supplier of electricity. And to that extent, you are stuck with them, whether they give you good service or not very good service. So I think that's the big change that will happen, and the competition will give benefit to the consumers in terms of better quality and lower prices. The second big thing that I'm seeing in the amendment that is proposed is that we have a very ambitious target to meet renewable uh, purchase obligations. The country way back came up with a large number of policies and rules which said that up to 20% of the energy requirement will come from renewable energy. Uh, while on paper it is there, its implementation has got delayed. Considering that India has now pledged that 50% of the electricity will come in terms of capacity and in energy by 2030 from renewable sources, it's important that the new RPO obligations are enhanced and enforced. And the Electricity Act amendment will ensure that, because they are huge and stiff penalties if discoms do not meet the target of renewable purchase obligation. The third big thing that is being talked about is how do you ensure a more transparent and a much efficient and agile regulatory regime. And I think more number of APTEL benches, more number of members in APTEL. Similarly, there will be a mechanism whereby the working of the state regulatory system will also be monitored. So I think in all, it's a phenomenal opportunity for us to go through with the new Electricity Act amendment. It will be very beneficial for all types of customers, power which is consumed by everyone, whether it is industries or commercial establishments or domestic user. They will have a choice, and competition will bring down the cost of service, as also improve the quality of service. So I think it's a very welcome move, and the earlier this happens, the better will be the transitioning that will take place of delicensing benefits passing on to the consumer.
Are we in for any kind of an power challenges or supply demand mismatch in winter, because it is that time of the year where we've always seen that there is historically been a strong surge in power demand, and then somehow there is a, I'm not using the word crisis, but there is a challenge.
I think the winter demand is subsumed in the overall summer demand, peak demand that we have. So we have again in winter different usage patterns. We have more usage during morning time and evening time when people use more of geysers and more of heaters and all that. So that challenge is there. It also happens that during winter months, some of the hills states that are there in north and northeast, they have a challenge in doing hydro generation. So there is a necessity to ramp up the generation from the conventional generation, as also some of the renewable sources. So I do think that the way the country has been able to add capacity, and today we are nearly 390 gigawatt, and I've been observing the peak has been in the range of about 150 to 160 in last 1 month. So I think we have adequate reserves with us, and we should be able to meet. There may be some aberrations here and there, but generally, I think we should be able to meet the power requirement in the coming winter months.
Hmm. Mr. Sinha, if I look at the Tata Group, Tata Motors is rolling out the electric vehicles. Tata Chemical is looking at working towards lithium ion cells. Tata Auto Component is assembling the battery packs, and Tata Power has been given the task to beef up the charging infrastructure. Is my assessment right that Tata Power is now going to be seriously looking at diversifying its product mix, something which you alluded to, but that thought is getting more and more mainstay now?
Absolutely right. Tata Power is right now also the biggest player in the EV charging space, whether it is home charging or it is public charging. We have, and also where we have institutional charging with bus stations and all that. We continue to be number one and the most preferred service provider and supplier of EV charging solutions. So Tata Power, because of its experience in power supply, understands the consumer requirement and also what sort of service needs to be provided. So it's not just providing the EV charger, but also how to ensure that there is adequate quantity of supply of electricity, as also the consumer experience in terms of giving them the app through which they can have a seamless experience of charging their vehicles and paying through their app only. So I think Tata Power will play a very, very important role for meeting the future EV charging requirement in the country. We have very ambitious plans to connect north to south and east to west of India through highways also, apart from the nearly 200 odd cities where large scale penetration of EV charging infrastructure is taking place. Uh, we've already lined up a huge charging infrastructure that will be created right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and in the second phase from northeast to Gujarat and Rajasthan. So we are very confident that if anyone wants to travel anywhere in the country, Tata Power will be able to provide them that service wherever it may be, whether it is small cities, large cities, metropolitan, or intercity travel. So I can assure you that Tata Power will be the biggest EV charger player in the country in the years to come by.
So you've given a number along with your September quarterly profits that you've already installed about 1,000 charging stations, and the plan is to make it 10,000 in less than 5 years. What is the update for this quarter?
So we are now adding huge number of quantities on a monthly basis. In the month of November, we put nearly 200 of them. We were struggling earlier to put even 100 per month with COVID behind us and number of partners with whom we have tied up, including oil companies. We feel very confident that in next 2 months we will cross 200 per month, and from April onwards we'll do 300 charges per month. So I think we have a very robust plan of executing EV chargers right across the country. We are now in 180 cities, so our reach has also widened, and we do both home charging as well as the public charging. In addition to this, institutional charging we've done for the bus for the bus organizations, city bus service providers. For BEST, we have done it in Mumbai, similarly in Ahmedabad, Jaipur, and Delhi. And we feel that as public transportation also starts using electric buses, we will again be playing a very important role in that. So I think we are very confident of not only reaching 10,000, which we initially thought was a very good number by 25, will possibly be increasing many more times that number by 25.
Would you be open to any kind of an equity investment in your EV business on the lines of Tata Motors? Is that the thought which you're open to? Are you exploring something, or would you like to dismiss this market buzz?
See, once you start growing, and we have been talking about that, we are now creating a renewable platform in which we bring our overall package of renewable solutions. So we continue to explore depending upon the type of growth that will happen in the country and how much penetration we have. We will definitely examine and look at all options, but these are things which evolve over a period of time depending upon the type of investment is required and what type of penetration will happen. So very difficult to say at this stage, but these are always issues which the company keeps on examining and on merit takes a call.
This front, in terms of a news development which we should expect in next 2 or 3 months, can I read in between lines?
Well, at this stage is a little premature. These things takes some time to happen. These things are not knee-jerk reactions, and we are always conscious of what is expected out of us. And as a responsible corporate, we will take a decision which is in the interest of all our stakeholders and shareholders.
Well, EV is the future. You are investing quite aggressively in creating the EV infrastructure. Are you reasonably certain that you're not ahead of the time?
Absolutely not. We feel that the time has come and there cannot be a better time than this to create the necessary infrastructure so that the EV penetration itself increases. This has always been a concern, and I would rather be a little ahead of the curve rather than behind the curve. And I want to thereby promote the EV usage in the country and give our bit in terms of the overall sustainability agenda, which the country is very much inclined to move forward to.
Let's talk about a business which we rarely, discuss with you, is your distribution business. And now that it is evident that more and more cities would be privatized, you have a presence there and quite a successful presence. How will that business grow?
So our distribution business has done very well. We started with Delhi in 2002. It has been a market leader in terms of the technology interventions and the customer service it has provided. Then we got the second license in Mumbai, and we also do the distribution through a franchisee arrangement in Ajmer. Last year, we got the 4 distribution licenses in Odisha. Very difficult in the initial period because of the many interventions that was required, whether it was in the IT implementation, ERP, customer services, billing solutions, as also on the network reliability and technology interventions. I would say that the progress has been phenomenal in just 15, 16 months that we took for the central visa, and the others which have been 1 year, we will complete on 1st January, and the last one we would complete 9 months. I think we have used our experience and learning in all the locations to bring the best in terms of doing implementing these solutions in Odisha. We're doing large scale investment also over there. Nearly 1,200 crores to 1,500 crores of investment will happen on a yearly basis.
Well, let's shift gears from Tata Power and let's now connect with the management of Tata Power of HFCL to understand that where things are headed for the company and how essentially the telecom sector and the dynamics of the telecom sector are now moving out. Mahendra Nata joins us now. Let's